Majority Report with Sam Cedar, where every day's Casual Friday. That means Monday is Casual Monday, Tuesday, Casual Tuesday, Wednesday, Casual Hump Day, Thursday, Casual Thurs, that's what we call it, and Friday, Casual Shabbat. The Majority Report with Sam Cedar.
It is Friday, June 30th, 2017. My name is Sam Cedar. This is the four-time award-winning Majority Report. We are broadcasting live steps from the industrially ravaged Gowanus Canal in the heartland of America, downtown Brooklyn, USA. It's Casual Friday, folks, but things are about to get real. Today we have in studio Cliff Schecter. And not just Cliff Schecter. The entire Schecter clan is here. Also on the program today, you may know him as Teddy from Bob's Burgers, or you may know him as Assy McGee from the cartoon Assy McGee. Larry Murphy, voiceover maestro, and also deeply committed Donald Trump hater. Also on the program, speaking of Donald Trump, he calls for repeal, then replace if the Senate can't pass their bill, leaving Paul Ryan's kneecaps a bloody mess. And regarding those Republican Medicaid cuts, wait 10 years, because you ain't seen nothing yet. Trump's assault on voting rights begins with Chris Kobach sending an ominous letter. Wall Street Journal reports longtime anti-Clinton GOP operative sought those so-called missing Hillary Clinton emails from Russian hackers. And Trump reportedly used a National Enquirer story to attempt to blackmail Mika and Joe. Yes. It's a true story. And the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, if you're into them, says sarin was in fact used in the Syrian attack. Not clear by whom. Meanwhile, good news, bad news. Labor Department to argue that they can control the overtime threshold. The bad news is they want to make it lower. Republican states threaten to sue over the Trump administration allowing DACA to go forward. And NASA denies that it's running a child slave colony on the planet of Mars. I'll wait until Jimmy Dore puts out a video before I decide on that one. And Keystone Pipeline apparently can no longer find oil producers to actually use their pipeline. Sorry about that. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it is another Friday. And just another crazy week in the Donald Trump era. We will be talking about healthcare, of course, because that's the big story. But when Cliff gets here, we will also be talking about, I'm not a particular fan of the Morning Joe television program, and I'm not a particular fan of anybody who appears on that program. I mean, I like Sam Stein. He's not a bad guy. But it is, I think, a relevant story that there was an attempt to blackmail reporters. And it's also even that much more, or I should say news anchors. But it's even that more stunning that it didn't work in this case. But we will get to all that and more in just a moment. Before we do, well, and you know what? I want to bring Cliff in here for this sound. So usually we have Cliff Schecter on the telephone, and usually he can hear his theme song. But today we have the immense pleasure of playing Cliff Schecter's theme song for his sons.
Cliff Schecter, Libertas LLC. New media, public relations, and strategy. You want any of these services, you know who you gotta see. Cliff Schecter, Libertas LLC.com.
Yeah, yes, ladies and gentlemen, Cliff Schecter in the house. Cliff, welcome back. It's always a pleasure to have you in studio.
It's always a pleasure to be here. First of all, thank you. It is a part of my contract, as you know, with the Majority Report that I show up twice a year.
That's right.
In person, so that I'm not in my pajamas at least those 2 times during your show.
Of course.
And with the whole family. I always bring my posse with me. And I want to say that I appreciate you playing the song here for my kids, because I'm under the impression lately, as my younger son Luke brought up the fact that I brought something up that I did when I was a kid, and he said, back when you weren't old and wrinkled. And I thought...
I get that from my children.
And I thought to myself, maybe they need something else to think I might be slightly less uncool than I am.
Guys...
You're not even that wrinkled or anything. What are you talking about?
Well, guys, I mean, let me ask you a question.
Thank you, Kelly.
Do you have friends at school whose dads have their own theme song? Yeah, probably not. That's right. In fact, I have my own radio show. I don't have a theme song. Just your dad does. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
For an old wrinkled guy, that's as good as it gets.
Well, that's what happens when you get old and wrinkled. You get your own theme song. So you got that to look forward to. And also, sadly, your children may have a diminished social safety net and social insurance to look forward to.
That's true. Diminished expectations of their country.
That's right. That's right. Growing up, you guys do remember that Donald Trump wasn't the only president that you guys remember, right? Yeah? You remember the last president? Good.
Yeah, luckily
good.
for Luke, this is his first white president.
Yeah, there you go. Poor Saul is his only consciousness of a president is he does know how to say, like, people miss Obama, don't they? But he doesn't know who he was, I don't think.
Well, I will say quickly, Dougie was born literally right before the 2006 midterms, so I consider that a sign.
All right. Well, he's just looking at you like he doesn't know.
All
right.
like,
Well,
what are you talking about, Dennis?
all right. Well, Cliff. All right. Let's get into this because the big news, of course, this week was that Mitch McConnell, who has a special place in your family, I should say.
It's sort of icky.
Your better half is here.
For everyone listening who doesn't know, my better half is here, and I actually met my wonderful wife, Ann, working against Mitch McConnell in
That's
2002.
Right.
One of many to fail to beat him, and so you can kind of hold us responsible in a way for everything he's doing now.
I was just going to say, though,
Our candidate was terrible, though. Let me say that. But go ahead.
A little bit disturbing when your family origin story has to center around Mitch McConnell. But
it's more than a little. It's
right. Okay. So, help me out here. Mitch McConnell is, there was some theory that maybe Mitch McConnell was trying to bag the whole thing, just clear the decks of it. I think if that was the case, he would have held a vote knowing that it would have failed.
Right.
He seemed to have the perfect cover, right? I got people on the right. I got people on the so-called
left of the Republican Party,
yeah,
which is slightly to the left of Mussolini.
The pretend moderates and the, really, I guess in many respects, the pretend conservatives are both against me. They're both going to vote against it. He could have cleared the decks. He could have moved on to the next thing. He clearly wants to pass this.
Yeah.
Here's the question I have for you with your understanding of Mitch McConnell. My theory is that Rand Paul will never be able to get a conservative enough bill for him to vote for because he knows how many people in Kentucky actually rely on Obamacare. So he gets to have his cake and eat it too.
That's right.
I vote against it. I'm not held responsible for getting rid of all these people's health insurance, but I vote against it because I'm so conservatively principled.
So I've thought that definitely from the beginning with a couple conservatives. The other one, Mike Lee may just actually be that cruel and far to the right. And Ted Cruz, don't get me wrong, is completely cruel and a terrible human being in many other ways. But I think in Cruz's case, remember, he's got Beto O'Rourke running against him. Texas is a state that Hillary Clinton improved upon Obama's total. She lost it by about 8 points. And that Ted Cruz uniquely hated by pretty much, I think if you've met him, you hate him, no matter what your politics are. So he could be vulnerable in a state like Texas. They're doing everything they can to suppress every darn vote there. So, obviously it gets a little tougher, but I think I could see him pulling the same maneuver as Rand Paul and saying, I can't do it from the right, but really, hopefully, privately, he's like, okay, I don't have to take away people's health insurance.
Or I don't have to vote. I don't have to take this vote. Now, he apparently has floated a plan that would essentially allow in each state insurance companies to sell any type of insurance they want as long as they have one Obamacare compliant policy that's available. But of course, what that turns out to be, it turns out to be one of those the equivalent of a high risk pool. The costs will go through the roof. The non-compliant ones will be really cheap because they're not covering anything.
Right.
And only people who are sick or anticipate needing a genuine health insurance will go into that one Obamacare plan.
Exact opposite of what the term insurance means.
Right.
That's what these guys never, explain. Of course, they try to mix people up, and maybe they don't even understand. Remember when Paul Ryan said, well, some people shouldn't have to pay for other people that are younger or older, and that's actually what insurance is.
Spreading the risk.
Yeah, it's why you get life insurance and car insurance. These are definitions of these things.
So tell me what Mitch McConnell's angle is. Is it enough for him that he feels like I don't have to worry about your son's getting super bored with this conversation?
Listen, if there's anything more representative of my son than that, Doug, I can't think of it.
Can you believe?
Can we do that as a sound
Can you
drop?
even imagine what it's like to have to live with this every day? This is what my kids go through at home. This is what dinner looks like. So
and
at least for you, it's
mommy, both mommy.
Exactly.
He lives with me. He knows. You bring up Marco Rubio. He probably knows his top 3 policy positions. Believe me, it's tough living.
Could we record that as a sound drop?
Yes,
please.
Dougie's Young has to be part of the show in the future. Dougie, it's all positive. It's
every
all
day,
love,
my daughter says, Dad, I get it.
Hashtag
right,
Dougie yawns for me.
Here's what I think's going on.
What's up with Mitch McConnell?
Here's what I think's going on. The Koch brothers and some of the other right-wing corporate types who jumped out of the fray with Trump are back in because in the end Trump hasn't done any of the stuff that's populist that he said he was going to do. He's been, so they want this health care plan gone. McConnell is, as we know, lives to service. His whole career is just about them and people like them. So I think he very much wants this to pass, even if they have to roll back capital gains cuts to a certain degree, so they can't cut the whole, was it 3.8% they added on for Obamacare? So that's why he's holding out. And the question will really be, and what's interesting, and I was talking actually about this with Ann earlier, is Shelly Moore Capito, Rob Portman, and those who are from, who's from my state of Ohio, who are from the states that are having the opioid crisis is at its worst. McConnell saved a couple, $100 billion pot there, no pun intended, to put towards opioid abuse.
Right.
Of course, I saw some estimates somewhere where that was like 14% or some amount of what's needed. It doesn't do anything, but it gives him the fig leaf to say, we held out, we're moderate. See, he's taking on our issue now, and suddenly you see Cassidy and Capito and Portman and a few of the others who've held off say, well, this is a serious problem in our rural areas and we need this money.
Yes.
So we're signing on for this.
Yes. And here, speaking of Shelly Moore Capito, here she is on Morning Joe. Morning Joe makes up all our clips today. They were pretty busy, I guess. But here's Shelly Moore Capito, and the disingenuousness of her response about Medicaid to me is, this is where there is, this is how they get away with this, right? It could, because like you say, it's a fig leaf. And and here's another, here she is basically stitching together, or I guess the apt metaphor is growing a fig leaf and cultivating it and then finally trimming it and then wearing it. Here it is.
Joining us now from Washington, one of the Republicans opposing the current version of the Senate health care bill, Senator Shelly Moore Capito of West Virginia. Thank you very much for being on the show this morning.
Shelly,
My pleasure. Thank you.
It's always great talking to you. We had somebody on, and others have suggested there can be a little bit of tweaking of this bill, and maybe pull people like yourself and Rob Portman over. But how do you ever? And I say this as a conservative, but how do you ever get there? Representing a state that would be devastated by these cuts to Medicaid.
Well, that's been my source of concern, Joe. I'm very concerned about the Medicaid portion and what it would do to a state like mine. We have the largest per capita population that's in the Medicaid program. It is a wonderful safety net for so many of our West Virginians. At the same time, I think reform is needed in the program to make the dollars go farther and more efficiently. I think we would, health professionals and everybody would agree with that.
We can stop it right there. First of all, incidentally, folks, if you want to see the results of a pre-interview, you just saw it. Yeah. Okay? In fact, that's probably why Shelly Moore Capito was on there.
Everybody who does these types of TV shows, which Sam does regularly, and I do to a certain degree, and Michael does, you get these questions at a time. Because they want somebody who's going to say that.
Well, I think in this instance, it actually went the other direction, where she said, we're available so that she can address a Medicaid. Because the fact is that you will not find healthcare experts that agree with the idea that we can make these dollars go further.
What does that mean?
Well, what it means is as if there's a tremendous amount of waste in the system. And in fact, if anything, there's a tremendous lack of ability to make these dollars be accepted in other places.
But they want to establish
because
that
it is so stingy in the way that they pay.
They want to establish that in addition to what we were saying about opioids as the moderate position. So if she can come on here and say that, and then you've got, Joe Scarborough, moderate Republican, even though he refers to himself as a conservative, saying...
Depends on what day it is.
Right, of course it does. That's why I use the quotes. It's not real. But if he'll then say, oh, well, if you keep some of the Medicaid funds in there, so they cut back a little bit on those cuts, right? And they say, but we can stretch these dollars further.
What does that
mean? And here's
mean?
some opioid money. Then it's, oh, look, they came to the table. They're moderating. And, and then these guys jump en masse.
I mean, Michael raises a good question. What does it mean to stretch Medicaid dollars further? And what it means is not like we'll get more health care out of it. It's just that we'll have less dollars for more people.
Well, it's also like, let's say...
Which means that you're going to get less health care, period.
It's sort of like, let's say you have to get both of the legs amputated. They'll sort of say, you're only really using one of those legs, right?
Right.
It's that kind of thing.
And we should say that the repeal and replace bill, it only is scored by the CBO 10 years out, because that's really as far as you can really reliably or even somewhat reliably determine what the implications of this stuff is going to be. But by 2036, according to the CBO, the government will be spending 35% less on Medicaid than if current laws remained in place. Now, this is the thing that people have to understand about Medicaid, and it's also true of Medicare. It's also true of Social Security, and it's also true of food stamps at these points. These are, Social Security and Medicare are agent, but these other ones are economic stabilizers. So if more people fall below the poverty line, they become eligible. So it's a function of what's going on in the economy at any given point. And it's also a function of how many people there are, because the percentages may stay the same. But if you keep having babies at a faster rate than people are dying, then...
The amazing thing, though, also, and this gets factored into all of this, which they don't want to say, which is if more people die, then we need less money to take care of them.
That is actually a point of savings, at least in the House bill, that Social Security saves some money. But on this, with the Medicaid... 35% less. That means there's going to be a 35% deficit, even based upon the meager spending on Medicaid that we do now relative to the need.
Right.
There's going to be even the 35% bigger deficit. So you're going to have, and the idea that 35% will not capture children or elderly or people in nursing homes.
Veterans
It's
Well,
just
Medicaid's what pays for people in nursing homes. So, I mean, that's ridiculous.
it's absolutely crazy. All right, well, let's.
So just be ready for that. I'd say the one other thing to be ready for, too, is if McConnell can convince the conservatives to leave alone the attack on Planned Parenthood. Now, obviously, this is something that I feel very strongly about in general, my involvement with the organization. But that may also be used as sort of the fig leaf. You attack initially, and then Susan Collins and Murkowski, the two who are pro-choice, will say, "Oh, okay, well now they're leaving alone Planned Parenthood. Even if they're cutting huge amounts of Medicaid, we can jump back on."
Right. These people just want to be able to say, "I got something out of this."
That's right.
Here is my. In Maine, I think it'll be some money for some rural hospitals.
Great point.
But here's the trophy I got from the competition, and I bring it home, and everybody looks at this shiny thing, and meanwhile this thing passes. I still am of the belief that this will pass. That they will get it, that the tax cuts uber alles for these people, and that's it. They will they want these tax cuts. It may not be exactly in the form it is now, but it is going to wreak havoc upon, I think, healthcare.
My guess is they're going to cut back somewhat on the Medicaid cuts, and they're going to throw some money, as you said, rural hospitals, opioid, whatever they can. So in the end, the capital gains cut may not be as big. But I do think they're going to try to find a way to pass it still with it, because if they can cut some of that capital gains, that's still a lot more money for people.
Can I ask a quick question about that? Do you think that that's why the Senate version is in some ways to the right of the House version, and sort of like anticipating this process, so where they ameliorate it will still end up being well to the right?
There is no doubt in my
They didn't
mind.
go with like, let's make it a more moderate bill to begin with.
I mean,
McConnell's a much better strategist
understands
than Brian.
that, the thing that Barack Obama never did, which is you start in a place where, because what he did is the classic sort of like vacuum sales thing, right?
Yeah.
You go door to door selling vacuums, and the thing that they teach you is find the objection or whatever it is, define it, right? Mm-hmm. And so he rolls this thing out with a core constituents of 13, maybe 15 people in the Senate, and then they release it, and everybody pokes up their hand and basically waves a flag. This is what I need to sign on. This is what I need.
Right.
And he just the fact that we know at this point clearly can say, like, it's going to take X number of dollars for Shelly Moore Capito means how clear it is for him, and also how performative it is.
Yep.
It is just so that they can basically say, I want this, and then take it and walk away with it. So I think this thing is going to pass. I think, if anything, the cuts to Medicaid are just going to be further backloaded. And
that's true. They may push them back even further. Yeah.
And the opioid funding is not going to come through Medicaid, because Medicaid is like I say, expands and contracts, or they may block grant it going forward to the states, but they're going to create other programs that are going to sunset, that are much easier to have sunset 5-10 years out than they would cutting Medicaid. Medicaid provision.
And they'll be useless. I mean, there'll be some money in there, and maybe a few people will be helped, but there'll be nothing close to what's needed to get to help people truly who are suffering right now.
There was a figure yesterday. I can't remember exactly what it was, but it basically showing that opioid deaths were going to be one of the primary healthcare crises in the country going forward over the next 10 years.
No, I mean, it's terrible. And again, I don't think we even yet know, with deregulation and with some of the other things we allowed pharmaceutical companies to do, they created a market.
Did you see that Ezra Klein piece the other day, where it was basically the title of it was something to the effect of, like, conservatives are showing that liberal caricatures of them were true.
Ezra.
It's like the intellectual version of like losing your virginity at 70.
Yeah. It's also a misunderstanding of the word caricature. Because it should read, it turns out what I thought was a liberal caricature turns out to be the reality. right? Like, it's not a liberal caricature if it's actually accurate.
So it turns out that a lot of us who were saying these exact things, not based upon any preconceived notions, not based upon the fact that I like bashing people, but based upon the fact that I looked at this terrible group of people, what they were saying and doing, and then made a judgment as you do about everything in life. A car is coming, I shouldn't cross the street. Conservatives are saying that people should be allowed to die and not have health care. Maybe they're terrible people.
To subsidize.
Right.
But we were all being hysterical and
still that's built into the headline,
still a
right?
liberal
Because it's a caricature. The liberal fantasy would just happen to be a broken clock is right twice a day. It's like it's pretty stunning. It gives him an opportunity. But I mean, this is, I don't know. It's at least it's coming into relief. But let's talk a little bit more. Let's turn to this because this is important. And we're in an era right now where our media situation is so messed up. That's
a technical term, right?
Yes. TMZ is about to buy Time magazine. Have you heard that report?
I have not.
Did you hear that? TMZ is attempting to buy Time magazine.
That can't be good for anybody.
That TMZ guy, that Harvey, whatever his Levin is like a good friend of Trump's. Sinclair Media, as you know, now has the FCC has basically paved the way.
They now reach, I think, 70%. Is it of the markets in the country?
Yes, but it only counts towards a 39% cap because they're UHF stations, which of course are meaningless now because everybody's on cable. But so we have this real problem, and there's a pre-existing problem too, And here is sort of like, I don't know, here is, let's talk about what happened with Morning Joe and Mika, and because this is pretty stunning. Let's start with the first story, which is, and this is sort of the first order story. Apparently, it sort of exploded today where in the wake of Donald Trump tweeting that Mika and Joe were desperately trying to get invited to his New Year's party, but he wouldn't let them in because Mika's face was bleeding from a facelift. I mean, I can't... I can't believe... Well, it's just so insane. It's just so insane.
And
he's the president.
First of all, yes, the president is actually tweeting this out because he watched something on Morning Joe.
No, he heard, supposedly, because he doesn't watch.
Well, no, I was going to say, that's the thing.
Don't watch it anymore. Don't watch it anymore. Live, fake news.
That's what I was going to say. That's the thing I love the most is every time he attacks one of these things, I hear CNN's saying this about me. Ratings are terrible. I don't watch anymore. And he was just watching. I mean, it's hilarious. But so the tweet in itself of I wasn't watching it was funny enough. Then he's attacking her, and it's like, dude, do you see Ivanka sitting on one side of you and Melania sitting on the other side of you? I'm going to go ahead and say they've had some work done.
I see Ivanka sitting on both sides of me because she's a total babe.
Well, it's also
Ivanka. She's up, she's down, she's all over.
It's
that car over there looks like Ivanka.
It really is like just it's misogynist and. It's just moronic.
But I would say also mentally ill in a certain sense.
For a president to be doing that in and of itself is ludicrous. But again, what he said was disgusting. The fact that all these other reasons we brought up are ridiculous. This is still important because I can't stand this. When people at CNN now are like, "Hey, he's attacking us," or Joe and Mika, you built this.
Okay, we'll get there in a second because first, and let's be clear. Having ICE arrest 40% more and tearing apart families. I think Atrios tweeted something to this effect. Far more real, legitimate suffering.
Oh, of course.
But with that said,
the people may have health care taken away from them. Sure.
With that said, this story about blackmail seems to me to be, at the very least, inappropriate. Also, I think blackmail is illegal. And I don't know if money, but here is Joe and Mika copping to the fact that, well, first off, there was going to be a story apparently a couple of months ago in April by the National Enquirer that they were having an affair. There were whispers about this for a long time. But apparently there was going to be a National Enquirer story. and they have since come out and did they get married?
I think they're engaged.
Or they're engaged now. But
exactly.
Here is how they retell the story, and this is even if you don't have any sympathy for these two people. I do not.
Nor do I. But
the dynamic,
this is different
because there's no reason to believe they're just doing this with Joe and Mika.
Oh yeah.
I'm comfortable talking. I mean, I think we have to talk about it now because it explains the relationship and his really strange obsession with this show, and in particular, his really disturbing obsession with Mika. We got a call that, hey, the National Enquirer is going to run a negative story against you guys, and it was Donald is friends with the president is friends with the guy that runs the National Enquirer, and they said if you call the president up and you apologize for your coverage, then he will pick up the phone and basically spike the story. I had, I will just say 3 people at the very top of the administration calling me. And the response was like, are you kidding me? I don't know what they have. Run a story? I'm not going to do it. The calls kept coming and kept coming, and they were like, call. You need call. Please call. So, come on, Joe, just pick up the phone and call him. It's blackmail.
And let me explain what they were threatening. They were calling my children. They were calling close friends.
You're talking about the National Enquirer. Yeah.
And they were pinning the story on my ex-husband, who would absolutely never do that. So I knew immediately it was a lie and that they had nothing. And these calls persisted for quite some time, and then Joe had the conversations that he had with the White House where they said, oh, this could go away.
So I just want to be very clear here.
Wow.
The National Enquirer is harassing your children, your daughters, who are teenagers.
Yeah. And it's,
and then Joe in turn is getting calls from the White House.
Saying,
by the way, they're also I was at Mika's house for a few minutes and came out, and there was a guy in a van that was staked out there watching. It was clear that he was from a tabloid.
It was 2 in the morning.
He started asking questions.
My shirt was off.
After all this started happening, that's when we started getting calls from the White House.
Now, I want to just sort of, disaggregate 2 things here. One is that, look, celebrity rag like these, National Enquirer, they're going to do this. And that's one issue, right? Yeah. They do this for, I don't know, Brangelina or all that type of stuff. Yes, of course. And so that is more of a different type of problem. The idea that, and I guess maybe their implication is that, look, Trump knew that they were dating.
Yep.
Says to the Enquirer, "Here's the story. Go find it." Then it comes back and it says, I can spike this. I mean, this is blackmail.
Yep. So he's blackmailing a media source. And again, as you said, the key thing is, it doesn't matter, Joe and Mika, he's probably done this to numerous others. We know he's threatened reporters. We know that people who've worked for him have physically assaulted reporters. Lewandowski, for example.
He did stuff like, here's Lindsey Graham's cell phone, and which was indicative of, here's his cell phone number.
Right.
I mean, it's indicative of
Katie
the same
Tur
thing.
having to be, escorted out because of an event, because she was being threatened by people because he was blaming her. I mean, this is his total. This is his stance towards the press. You're either sycophantic state press or you're being threatened. I mean,
now, and here's the other thing. Okay. This is very problematic because it could have happened to other people. It's very problematic as much as I don't have a tremendous amount of investment in what Mika and Joe are telling us every day, trying to be respectful
you
here.
guys haven't even heard the story about when they called Sam's family.
But
and
wait a second.
Sam's
why don't we know who those top Trump administration officials were who called him.
That's true.
Because they were the ones who were delivering the blackmail message.
I don't want to do the calls anymore. Please stop forcing
I mean,
me.
I'm sorry. They're doing it again.
Who do you think it is?
That's a great point.
Top
they're
officials in the Trump administration.
If they're going to come forward with this story and they're telling the story, then tell the damn story.
Excuse me.
You know,
who are you protecting and why now? Like what's going on here? You can't come out and say we were blackmailed by this administration, but we're still going to protect those people who are blackmailing us because we want to maintain the relationship.
That's right.
This is,
in a way, that's this show to a T.
I mean,
it really is. It's why I
this
can't.
It's about access for them, and that is just as disturbing.
Yeah.
They're saying basically like, we're going to tell the story about blackmail if you really try and embarrass us.
Right.
Right. Well, wait a second. Why didn't we hear this before? It's going to take a tweet where he talks about her face to tell us on this. I mean, this seems to me
it's ridiculous.
To be an important story. And if we're going to take it seriously now, we should have taken it seriously
months ago, whenever it happened.
When it happened, weeks ago.
And tell us who these guys are.
Tell us who the people
are.
are.
Tell us who the thugs are, who he's having call, because maybe he's having them call other people and do the same thing.
I mean, I can't help you. I don't even watch that show.
I'd say probably.
So, and here is.
You know you do, Michael.
So we got one more clip from Morning Joe because we're seeing so much of what the problem is with so much of society, of our politics. Here's Joe and Mika talking with Donnie Deutsch on the same program today about how disillusioned they are with what Donald Trump has become.
And I know, Donnie, you've known him for a long time. The guy that's in the White House now is not the guy we knew 2 years ago. The guy that's in the White House now is not even close, because the Donald Trump we knew for the better part of 10, 12 years was always in on the joke.
Yeah.
He'd go, here's Trump water, and then it'd wink at you.
Yeah.
Right? And here's this. Hey, look at it. And it always wink, kind of like, they love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, they love that.
Yeah.
It's like they just come here and they love seeing my name. It makes them feel like they're part of something. He was always in on the joke. Without getting into great detail, I will just say that somebody at the top of his campaign last summer said to me, we're all really worried about his emotional state.
Yeah.
But this is
Wait a second, pause. I want you to go back. I want to just take like the first part here. In on the joke. Let me translate what that means.
Yeah, please do.
In on the con. Knew when he was selling people Trump water that it was just crap water with his label on it. Knew when he was selling people Trump University, he was just scamming people out of tens of thousands of dollars.
Knew every position he was offering when he was running as a candidate was complete crap too, which is Joe Scarborough's job, if he knows that, to tell us that.
In on the joke.
Right.
But the second part of what he's about to say now is also crucial because, look, 2 years ago, we can all remember what was happening 2 years ago, right? He was on there just making some type of racist diatribe about something, whatever it was. But a year ago, last summer, 2 years ago was when he came down the escalator and said Mexicans are rapists. That was 2 years ago.
Were the Mexicans in on the joke?
Yeah, I guess. But the joke is
he was winking the whole time. We get it.
But now we're hearing from Joe that last summer he's getting a report that Donald Trump is mentally unstable. Completely not only do we get, that's what reporters do, right? On background, I've heard from a very reliable source that this guy running for president is mentally unstable.
But they were still in on the joke then, so it didn't matter.
Yeah, and it was still very funny. But not only did we not hear that specific thing, you look at their coverage over the course of that, and it was alternately fawning and occasionally tisking. But go back and let's listen to the second part of it.
They just come here and they love seeing my name. It makes them feel like they're part of something. He was always in on the joke.
I'm ripping him off.
Without getting into great detail, I will just say that somebody at the top of his campaign last summer said to me, we're all really worried about his emotional state.
Yeah.
But this is our analysis.
He's changed. No, this isn't our analysis. I'm telling you what somebody said.
Yeah.
This guy
Pause it for 1 second. Mika just realized, holy cow, we were sitting on this story for a year.
I know.
I love it. She's like, wait a second. We probably and Joe just bludgeons for. He just no, it wasn't us. That was what somebody told us that we didn't reveal to the public.
You see what she just did? She tried to save this guy from
the dynamic between the two of them all the time because she's a lot smarter than he is, and he goes forward and says something idiotic like that.
She tries to say, this was just our opinion. He goes, no, it wasn't. I was getting a report. But then I was doing actually what a reporter does.
Right.
We just didn't tell the story.
A, he's not bright, and B, he she's always the person he bullies over and just basically tells to shut up. So what's different?
All right, continue.
He's changed. No, this isn't our analysis. I'm telling you what somebody said.
Yeah.
This guy is not even the same person he was a year ago.
She just looks sad.
Yeah,
no, she looks like she's about to cry. She does, but I've seen her do that before too. She just looks down and goes, yeah. I mean, she just sort of pipes in because that's the only way she can say anything on that show.
Let me just wonder, like,
face.
Like,
He did it.
The thing that makes
like, does she walk off the set and they go, they walk, I mean, I know where the set is, and they walk out and they walk into the green room, and she just looks at him and goes, are you a moron?
Yeah. I hope so.
No.
Do you realize you just told the world that we were sitting on the story from an incredibly reliable source that this man who was running for president was mentally unstable?
And by the way, moron, maybe not a great idea to say that you were over my house in the previous description, too.
You were just there for a minute?
Just for a minute.
Just there for a couple
Why
minutes.
did you just see the guy going out and not going in if you were there for just a minute? Did you see him pull up?
Yeah, sometimes it takes 2 or 3, but generally I'm out of there.
This is why I want to practice before we go on air.
No, I don't think that she has. I think that their engagement is really upsetting to me because of their relationship on air. I mean, he is
abusive.
Abusive.
I would agree.
Yeah.
I mean, he's verbally abusive, as he is to everybody
He's
else.
absolutely
but he's
verbally
abusive to her to the point, and the physical kind of sort of glower. You know, he sort of lords over her, and then she goes and she looks down, and
the closer toward it being out there that they're in a relationship, the less pushback she's given. So,
I mean, so tempted to make a joke, which I really should not make, about Joe Scarborough's past.
Well, look, I mean, I think, listen,
somebody hitting
the
their
point
head
is,
on a coffee
no,
table?
I think, listen, the point is...
He's also been married 3 times, and, he still likes to say, no, but let me say, as a guy who just sits there and constantly says, but I'm a conservative, and I'm like, well, that's not what you guys were selling in 94.
Exactly.
But it's okay now for him, and he doesn't have to apologize at all, because that's completely, I mean,
I'm not going to judge their relationships, and she's a grown woman. If she wants to be in a relationship like that, just like Melania, I'm sure she finds some benefit in it. It's not one that
she wants to be with an abusive guy. I mean, that's her choice. She wants to bleed from the face.
But more important than their engagement is the fact that they were sitting on this story, which they just admitted, and they were sitting on 2 stories. 1, anchors are being blackmailed. 2, we had credible reports that this guy was mentally unsound. Those are 2 very big, important stories that they are just trotting out now as part of their Twitter war.
That's just our analysis. No, it's not. You guys told me.
But you know what's important? I mean,
we have documents. What are you talking about?
Yeah, you were on the call.
The meta to all this, though, is really important, too. It's because it's what it says about this show. And a lot of the rest of the media, I mean, you've seen how many people, and many of whom have been some of the nighttime progressive anchors here and there, whatever, have been in and out of that station. And yet Joe Scarborough has always been safe there. There are times his ratings were in the toilet and nobody's watching the show. But it's the insiders who get together and hang out like they're hanging out at a bar somewhere. He doesn't see himself as a journalist because he's not one. He doesn't feel any compunction to have to report a story like that or do anything because Donald Trump is in on the joke and he's in on the joke and they're buddies and they're, there's no thought of what his responsibility is as a broadcaster. It's never crossed his mind.
Contemplate the idea that Woodward and Bernstein just got into a fight with a Nixon aide, and then they go, "Oh, incidentally, we found out that you broke into the DNC headquarters."
That was totally unfair. The failing Washington Post.
I mean, that's perfect. That's what this is.
Pretty stunning that they trot this out only when there's a Twitter war. And so what's going to happen next? Like Donald Trump's going to go out and start like, I've got some nudie pics of
I'll kill the story on Bernstein's lipo
Mika,
section.
and then they go like, oh, incidentally, we saw him paying off Felix Sater to go and do and steal the email.
Seriously, who knows?
Know absolutely everything. Right. They're like, wait a second. Donald Trump was actually personally loading kilos on one of his family's ship, jets. And we didn't want to say that before because we were at Mar-a-Lago.
Well, that's just our opinion. It's not. We got pictures.
We saw it.
Generally, I'm not in favor, of course, as you know, as a card-carrying progressive, but I think this may be a time to rendition Joe Scarborough somewhere.
Let's
find out what he knows.
Let's go back 2 years ago through our time machine, which is actually called a recorded video. And from what what kind of man Donald Trump was 2 years ago. Back when he was in on the joke that he was conning people.
Right.
Look at, I'm selling water. Can you believe this? The stuff these people will buy. Wait till they buy this. This is 2 years ago, where Donald Trump, the serial assaulter of women, was on the program hosted by the serial assaulter of women. I get them confused. They're side by side.
At the station that was run at that time by the serial assaulter of women. Yeah.
That's why they wear, you'll notice in this clip, Bill O'Reilly wears a striped blue tie and Trump wears a solid blue tie so you can tell them apart. All right, this isn't a video. Oh, it's not a video? Okay, the headline headline is O'Reilly gives Donald Trump a platform to continue calling Latin American immigrants rapists and criminals. I won't take back my comments because it's totally accurate.
They also each wear a little pin.
Yeah,
instead of the American flag pin, they wear a Mike Tyson one on there.
Unbelievable. I mean,
Mike Tyson, he's still Black Cliff.
I mean, I wonder, no, I don't wonder. I was going to say, I wonder if, the head of NBC News will say, in the future, we would like our journalists to report major stories in real time, not as as retribution for a Twitter war.
Right. We would hope that
MSNBC style guide.
We'd hope that our journalists' faces are not being called bleeding.
Memo.
They might
You
also.
remember when they suspended Keith Olbermann?
Yes.
For contributing
donation,
to a local candidate somewhere.
I actually think it was Gabby Giffords
Oh, was it?
It was, but it was before that whole thing.
Yeah, I wonder if they'll send a memo saying just a reminder. If you stumble on some of the biggest stories, perhaps that you could tell, a president blackmailing the press with secret information.
He treats women horribly. Well, that's just our analysis. No, we saw it, Mar-a-Lago. Remember that woman that he grabbed?
Or that he's insane. Right. Share it with our audience, or at least let's raise it at an editorial meeting.
That's right. These are relevant factors.
You just feed it to somebody else.
Exactly.
It's okay. It's nothing bad.
That's why they've hired Hugh Hewitt. Yeah. That's why they've hired Hugh Hewitt, so that Joe Scarborough can have that stuff reported. They can give it to him, and he can announce it on the weekends. I mean, I just find that stunning, and
Hewitt has serious things to focus on, like taking away people's health care.
This show happened this morning, so I haven't seen any take that points that out. But it seems to me to be pretty glaring, right? Like, I remember when we were mad about Bob Woodward saving his big stories for his book and not printing it in the Post during the Bush administration. This, you're saving it just in case we need it for a Twitter war?
That's right.
I mean, seriously.
In case our friend blackmails us, we'll be...
No! They hid the blackmail part. They didn't do it then either.
That's true. It's only when it came out on Twitter. Yeah.
I don't know.
And that, folks...
Yeah, all right.
The state of your media today.
And Larry Murphy, hopefully he's listening, and we're going to be about 5 minutes late with you, Larry, 5 or 6 minutes, because I want to just talk about this Chris Kobach thing, because I know this is something that you're.
Yes.
And this is, this is a little scary. The chair of President Trump's Election Integrity Commission, Chris Kobach, who, incidentally, a judge
just hit him with, called him a fraud. I mean, he hit him with fines, didn't he?
$1,000 fine for, quote, presenting misleading arguments in a voting-related lawsuit.
I mean, it's hard to be surprised at all.
Only $1,000? You should be in charge of election integrity.
That's right. Could have been worse.
You have no idea how many fines I paid.
I mean, obviously, I mean, the best example, you look at what these guys did in Wisconsin, where they took a state that generally was a left-leaning state, and I think you can go beyond. Some people have made an analysis about Hillary's run, but look at Russ Feingold and what happened there. And I'm telling you, one of the big reasons he lost that race is because the number of African-American votes in Milwaukee they suppressed and in many other parts of that state. Yep. And they're taking that as a model, and they're trying to take, I mean, it's been terrible in Ohio, too. It's just Scott Walker has been so far up the Coke... My kids are here.
It seems like, okay, this is what they're doing. They have sent a letter requesting their full voter roll data, including name, address, date of birth, party affiliation, last four social security number digits, and voting history back to 2006 of potentially every voter in the state. Now, my understanding is this is largely public material if you go and pay for it, right? This is the voter files. Right?
You can get that in election, yeah.
And that parties have available to them.
So when you do direct mail, you do digital targeting, things like that, you can get this.
Kobach says that any documents that are submitted to the full commission will also be made available to the public. Terry McAuliffe said, I have no intention of honoring this request. They don't seem to have any obligation because this is just some commission.
But I think a lot of it's intimidation is what it's about. It's not just about getting the actual voting numbers and rolls. It's what they always do when they have people standing outside of polls. We know what you're doing.
All right. Well, here is the thing. Okay. So it seems to me what they're doing is they're going to take all this information if they get it. They're going to put it in some big data file. They're going to say, look, this guy's registered in 2 different states. We have 15,000 examples out of the 140 million people registered to vote of people registered in 2 different states, half of which will be just people with the same names, right?
But they're very careful about differentiating that.
Well, this is what they did with that so-called cross-check.
Right.
And, there's some dispute as to the efficacy of that and how many votes were ultimately suppressed. But it certainly muddies the water. And if you want to just do it for a narrative, which is all this Election Integrity Commission wants to do, right, is to create a narrative that there's voter fraud. Yep. This is the way you do it.
Sure.
This is the way we just slap my name on it. We sell it to the rubes. I'm in on the con.
Yeah.
I'm in on the joke.
The joke. Right. If they, I wish... I'd just like to think back if President Obama had done this exact thing, but he'd also added in. Also, can you also include which of your households own guns?
Right, I was going to say, he grabbed everybody's guns.
That would have been fantastic.
We're just going to do a random sweep of all registered white voters in the country. Just random.
Yeah, exactly.
Just random.
Let's see who we got there.
I'm in on the joke.
So this is a problem because this is, I don't know what we can do about this except for counter the narrative going forward. And this is a classic Republican project. This is not a Donald Trump thing. This is a classic Republican project.
Money, and again, because of the sort of the kind of disproportionate, let's call it warfare that they in the media that they can engage in. It'll be all over Fox. It'll be all over talk radio, and it'll force its way into mainstream media.
A classic Republican project. Can you guys go slow with Ezra?
Yeah,
he's just getting the healthcare bill
digested. I can't
digested.
believe. I mean, I thought this whole thing with the firing of the attorney generals was just a sort of an aberration.
I know. I thought that whole Iraq thing, it was a caricature.
Don't worry. As long as they don't, as long as the Trump administration doesn't both blackmail somebody and get into a Twitter war with them, we won't know about it.
There'll be a time, sometime about a year.
You crossed the threshold. The blackmail, the being insane. Well, we'll let that slide.
And then a whole bunch of clips of Republican senators saying that it's really distracting that he blackmails and gets into Twitter wars because we need to be focused on kicking poor people off of health insurance to subsidize a top-end tax cut. Then I'll realize it isn't a caricature.
A year or two down the road, Ezra will be reporting and be like, so yeah, a few of my friends started having to wear yellow stars. Until then, I thought it was a caricature of a right-wing position. It turns out I was wrong.
No, 1930s Germany, Ezra. People are so hysterical about them. I mean, I disagree, but I think we can all have a civil debate with character. You know what? As I get sent to Auschwitz, I think maybe the character was right about him.
Sure. I'll stay on this side of the street. I know I can't shop in there.
Total character.
Okay.
Total character. I got completely thrown off because his mustache was so big.
That's right.
always made out his mustache to be so big, much bigger than the rest of his head. His head was tiny.
It's not my
his big
politics, but
mustache.
why can't we have a civic
Classic
agreement?
thing at
I
the
have to
bar
close down my
mitzvahs
stall
where they
and move to this place. I
where they
believe they call
draw
it the
the
ghetto.
faces at the bar mitzvahs.
But
and
that's
the
all good.
mustache
They
gets
took
so
all of
big.
my family's possessions, and I'm in the ghetto, and I'm starting to think the caricature might be true.
That's true. They asked for it. I thought, my gold teeth? Why do you need them?
When will he pivot, though, is really the next question. Oh, labor time? Okay.
Well,
All right, we've all taken out our German accents now.
Yes.
We're good.
well, Cliffy, it was a pleasure to have you here, guys. Do you want to? You're not even. What? Dougie,
We've bored
what
my
are you
kids.
doing?
Could
Doug, what are you listening to? Are you watching a different show? Oh, you're watching our show? Oh, okay.
Dougie,
All right. I thought you were watching.
Is there a way, Dougie?
cartoon-
Could Dougie just jump on Matt or Kelly's mic and just do that yawn?
Listen,
Future reference?
Hey, Sam.
No? Okay.
Listen,
Sorry.
Suggie's listening to the show. He's in on the joke.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you know what's going on.
Hey, you want to say something on air, kid?
Come on. Do you have an opinion? Oh, you can. I think you need to come up to the microphone to say that, bud.
Okay.
Here, why don't you go up?
Some-
Do you want to? Why don't we say it? Why don't we say it on Kelly? Why don't we say it on Kelly's mic?
Here, you can go to Kelly's mic.
Kelly's mic. I don't like.
sucks.
I don't like putting the kids on.
Yeah, it's
on
all
video.
Oh, that's
All
a good point.
All right.
Do you guys have anything to say? Well,
What's the other one now?
You want to say something?
yeah, say something, Luke.
Trump smells like celery.
They got that
Did
from
you say
Isn't celery
Trump
okay,
smells
though?
like celery?
Yeah, they got that from Teen Titans. You ever see that show?
No.
Oh,
Celery
Is that
smells
what?
bad?
Is that the show?
yeah. Robin is on there, and all the other characters like Cyborg telling me smells like celery. It's their thing.
That's interesting.
Yeah, well,
Celery.
The kids dig. it.
You're
Luke,
the one
what
who
is
smells
your
like
feelings
celery.
about celery?
You're the one that smells
Are
like
you
celery.
pro celery or anti? What is it? Tastes bad. All right.
So much water in there, and not enough.
You're the one that smells like celery. You're the one that smells like celery.
You're gonna get it.
Right. Is that a puppet joke there? Puppet. Okay.
Cliff, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming in. I guess we'll do this again next week.
We will.
Who knows? Maybe if we get enough slams on Joe and Mika's ratings, maybe we'll find out that Donald Trump is running. He's actually putting child slaves on Mars.
I would just be careful, Sam, because again, as I was saying earlier, it's funny when it happens to Joe, but when they start calling your family. And trying to.
I don't think it's funny when it happens to Joe.
Oh,
That's why I think they should have reported it when it happened.
I'm not being serious. All right. Well, listen. Thank you for having me on, guys.
All right. Thank
Been
you.
fun.
Here we go. Let me do a little applause to. There you go.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Big applause. Cliff as they exit the building. All right. Do we have a Jimmy Reefer Cake song? All right. Well, let's just play some music. I'll call Larry Murphy. What?
No, go ahead.
I'll call Larry Murphy, and then we'll be right back in just a moment.
Tears are never ending.
We are back. Sam Cedar on the Majority Report on the phone, ladies and gentlemen. The guy who's always on my phone, texting and whatnot. You may know him as Assy McGee from Assy McGee, or you may know him as Teddy, or about 5,000 other characters on Bob's Burgers. But I know him as the guy who played the opposite me in a small independent film that fits and turns. It's Larry Murphy. Hello, Larry.
Hello, Seb. Hello, Luke and Dougie. Hello, everybody.
Whoa, these guys. Did you hear that? All right. You just made their day. All right, Larry. Thank you.
Oh, you bet.
Did you hear that, guys? He used the Teddy voice and he said your names. Huh? You got to cut that out. We'll cut that out and we'll send that to you. Larry Murphy, how you doing, buddy? I'm a little concerned. I know we should say you're calling from the South Shore. You're up in Massachusetts right now in a bunker.
I am. I'm pretty close to the Cape.
In a bunker.
In a bunker. Yeah, a bunker that I've built since January.
So I met a guy I hadn't seen in years, a Massachusetts guy, who tells me that it was heartbreaking. He said he voted for Trump. He said he's very...
Is this Joe the plumber?
No.
Who'd you meet, Sam?
It's just a guy. Mike was his name, not Indy Mike. And he said, I don't like Trump. I find him disgusting, this and that. But his policies I like. I like the bombing of Afghanistan. I like
Wait, that's what he led with, the bombing of Afghanistan is what he liked?
Yeah. And the CEOs in the White House, he's had more CEOs in the White House than Barack Obama. And the other
I don't know how you'd know who he had in the White House because they don't keep a list of that anymore.
Well, they don't do that, but that's just housekeeping. And
exactly.
The regulations, whatever that meant. I couldn't. I almost fell over at that point. But
what part of Boston though? Where? I think it would matter.
Newton.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've heard some things that make me believe that some portion of Massachusetts voters, I mean, they have ideas about what it means to vote for him and what I mean.
Be more explicit, Larry.
Ideas.
Be more explicit.
Yeah, there's a lot of conflation of information of what he represents, and also I do not think that right now that the majority of people, because if they're not on Twitter, they don't see that stuff in real time. I don't think that they get a true sense of him because it's only 15% less, 8%. 8% of the U.S. is on Twitter, and so they're getting that news like kind of filtered through. It's not a record yet, or it is a record, but it's not viewed as like.
Well, you live in Fox country in some respects, don't you? I mean,
yeah, in a way I do. Yeah.
I mean, tell us about it, because I just remember like the businesses that you drove by that would like have like a whole diorama of Hillary Clinton.
I showed you a picture of Hillary Clinton in a locker up in front of an actual privately owned company that did some sort of massive landscaping company where they owned, just a huge place, and they had it built up where they had Hillary Clinton inside of it was really on the way to driving off of where I am. Where I am is it's not as prevalent. You can't see it, but they are driving in that direction. So there are a lot of Trump signs. There were a lot of Trump signs, and then there was this diorama where Hillary Clinton was locked up, and they're still talking about Bill Clinton. There's a lot of... There's still a lot of talk about...
Dude, she's a criminal, right?
Dude, there's two things I know about. One, you should lock her up, and two, the relief pitches for the Sox aren't doing as well as they probably should this time of year. We just don't have that deep a bullpen. No, seriously, Sammy, we don't have that fucking deep a bullpen, and we should.
How many conversations do you have that a day now?
The president and whatnot.
How many conversations can I have where a guy is exactly that? There's two things I know.
Yeah. So what is driving you? Like I think I have gotten more text from you in the past six months than certainly in the 12 years that I knew you before then.
Because I think it's a daily offense. I mean, I don't know. I'm no different than anybody else. I think they just already turned off the news and tuned him out. I think a portion of people have literally started to tune him out. So he's, in that way, I think he's winning. Like I think it's successful. Is that people are no longer, you know what I mean? They're not, at least where I am in Massachusetts, people aren't talking about this on the daily. They're just not.
There was all that concern that it would become somewhat normalized, and it is. I think
it's normalized, but I don't think it's normalized in the way people, I think, is overload, and then people kind of shut down. So they don't want to hear about it. They don't want to hear about it anymore, or there's less people who want to hear about it than there was. And I feel like when you get outside of New York City, when you get outside of Los Angeles, and you get out of those areas, that there's more people who, they're not checked in. They're not, they can be, I don't know, they can be tricked by suddenly he's using the word collude in reference to Bernie and the Democrats.
Right.
Colluding. I mean, when you start trying to hijack the words, that's trying to change people's idea of what we're talking about. And I think that happens a lot.
Now, you also, I remember during the whole losing of the aircraft carrier. I don't know if people remember that incident where they thought the aircraft carrier was streaming towards North Korea, and in fact it was going down to New Zealand. Just give me.
No, I think it was misrepresenting facts. Or at least my experience, I was in the Navy. I was in the Navy, and I was located basically there. I was stationed in Japan, and my thoughts were with those guys who are stationed there. And when you're there, that feels doesn't have to be wartime. I wasn't there during wartime. Everything feels acts of aggression. Everything feels like an act of aggression for anyone who's forward deployed in an area, even as small or minor as it might be. So the idea that Trump was basically adding fuel to the fire and creating this tension while those people are over there or even close to there was infuriating. I can't even imagine what it would be like to be a reasonable person in the service. I don't think that the other part is, at least when I was in, you didn't get the exposure to the news that you might get now because you didn't have internet.
Right.
And you had limited, basically, news service, which was kind of fed to you through the military. So you didn't really have a sense of what was going on in the world unless you were reading papers when you were essentially in port. But I'm sure that that's changed right now. But just during that whole time period when he was claiming naval ship movements, which I thought was insane, of where things are going, those aren't announcements that anyone makes. No one's saying where the Pacific Fleet is headed at any given time. They're not. It's not a tool, I don't think. And he was making claims that turned out to be completely false. Just like he made a claim the other day You saw that, right? Where he made a claim.
I make a lot of claims.
Oh no, he made a claim. You make a lot of claims. I make a lot of claims. I gotta make claims. I make more claims I've made more claims than anyone. Hillary, Obama. I make claims. Sam. The claim. No, he made a claim. He made a claim the other day that. What was it specifically about? Where the DOD didn't know what he was talking about. It was 11:30 at night, and.
It sounds about right.
Oh, what are you talking about the Syria thing?
Yes, and that he made a claim, and that basically they were like, we don't know where that's coming from.
I'll tell you something.
And that kind of stuff is, I don't even know what to make of that. Is that simple?
There was a story. That story was a Cy Hirsch story, right? There's a Cy Hirsch story that came out the other day that said the U.S. military and intelligence agencies claimed to Trump that there was no evidence or they did not believe there was a sarin gas attack. This is the Cy Hirsch story. And that Trump was just sort of freelancing. Today, the prohibition...
Wait, he was just freestyling on that? That's what that was?
That he saw the TV show. Now, this is, from April. But the story came out. But today...
an imminent sarin gas attack. That's what it was.
Oh, yeah,
That's
okay, yes.
An imminent sarin gas attack, and that was happening while he was embroiled in a Twitter attack. He mentions nothing about it, but it's a press release released at 11:30 at night, and there's no mention of it.
Psycho
right, okay,
Mika
that's different, right. That is
serious.
the other day, and he tweeted that out, and then they used his tweet as the press release. That if you if you do another attack, I think that was.
Yes.
I really think that was about him going like, "Hey, did you see Wag the Dog? Did you see that movie?
Yeah.
Okay, I think I could just do it if I just tweet it out. We don't even have to bomb."
It was edited pretty heavily on Fox, but I saw part of it. Saw a little bit of it. Just some of it.
It is really
Saw a piece of it.
But isn't it hard to know now? Like, I mean, this story came out about the Wall Street Journal where there was an operative, and this guy, I can't remember his name now. His name escapes me, but he was the guy who paid the Arkansas State Troopers to come out and claim that, like, Bill Clinton fathered an African American illegitimate child.
Yeah, Duquesne's my kid. What's your problem?
And and this guy was way back when, and he's just was a millionaire guy from Illinois who was apparently, because he was interviewed by the Wall Street Journal, was looking for Clinton emails. People who were in contact with him said that he would claim that he was involved with Michael Flynn, which is, when you're talking about September, I mean, that would be a weird claim to say, like, why would you say Flynn? Why wouldn't you say, I don't know, Bannon? If you're going to make it up, why would you say Flynn?
Right, exactly. Why is it Flynn? In other words, it's basically a bagman who would be willing to do whatever.
Well, this is the guy who reportedly paid, Arkansas troopers. So he was just like the front guy who was, you need somebody to do something dirty, I'll do it. And he was going out and trolling around for online to IT people to see, like, can you find a group online that has done this? And he claimed that he thought he was speaking to at least two groups that were Russians, whatnot. I mean, it's.
What do you make right now of Manafort registering as a foreign agent?
Well, I mean, yeah, he's just
got to protect himself.
Yeah,
legally.
he's just pretending like I was never trying to hide it. It was a clerical oversight.
Yeah. Do you make that's him trying to hide it, or do you make that's the last stop if you've been cooperating possibly with the feds?
I don't know. I mean, I have no idea, to be honest with you. I mean, I think, look, there's. I would bet money that there's a lot of financial, wrongdoing, money laundering.
No, I think that's actually the key to that settled court case in New York.
The Felix Sater.
Yes, absolutely. He's tied into it. The Felix Sater, but that settled court case where they settle for pennies on what is essentially pennies on the dollar, and that right there, I think, is the key to the whole entire. That's
the New York Attorney General.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're
the U.S. deposing a New York Attorney General,
USAG,
and
the Southern District, after Barrara was gone, there was a settlement on that.
Yes, well, actually, he had placed in a guy named June. Right, and they said that they would continue to pursue that, and then this 4 years of investigation ends with it being settled. In the
happens
in the and the companies involved basically say we see it as a win, and we paid pennies on the dollar for what we were supposed to be paying, what we paid for fines, and nothing is exposed and nothing is open for what was what
all
that entailed.
records are
But it
sealed.
entailed
Right.
essentially, it's during, Trump's reign in New York, during, the real estate boom that he was part of in New York. And I don't know. I mean, that feels like the biggest connection to like financials. That would never have gone away if that, if it had played out the way it was supposed to.
So, Larry, give me a sense of your day, because Michael's sitting here going like, how does he know all this stuff? And literally, like, I have to say, over the past week, you've been a little bit. I was a little bit worried about you.
Why?
Well, because I didn't hear from you, like 6 times a day.
Yeah. Oh, that's really embarrassing, because I actually made a concerted effort to not be on have Wi-Fi. I made a conservative.
I was gonna
off and on the beach and away from any ability to read the news.
Oh, all right.
So I read in a limited amount in the morning, and then I don't.
Okay, because I was getting a little worried. I was going to call like emergency services just to check
why
on
do you think that I read? Why do you think that I read more right now than? I mean, I do. I read deeply on those stories that I think that
you should talk to Andy Kindler and get him to take a Wi-Fi break, maybe.
Well, Kindler is not as in deep as
Kindler's got a different dynamic going on. This is like
right,
serious.
but he's mad.
Yeah, I like that though. That could be a new like a mass bro. Like it's all through Felix Seda, dude.
It's all through. Yeah, why does it sound like that? No, I mean you got to search out this Felix Seda stuff to get to the bottom of it. I know what a half-wit I sounded like when I speak about this stuff, because I sound like the opposite of what you'd get here, where I live. I mean, no, I like his policies, especially when it comes to America First. You know what I mean? And also, beautiful coal. I've been saying that to my kids since they were little. Beautiful coal. Beautiful coal is kind of a thing that we say. Beautiful coal and pure, clean water.
Now you got to get crystal clear water. But
crystal clear water. You're going to love it. No, there's no fucking way that Pruitt is not going to make sure that we have clear, clean, pure water.
That guy's from fucking Oklahoma and whatnot. How is he not going to care about that?
And I mean, that's fucking God's country out there. That guy, no, for real. That guy's from fucking God's country. Oklahoma? No, he fucking knows about that shit. He knows. He's never been in with the oil companies. I mean, he doesn't trade emails with them to such an extent that he did the exact same thing with Dow. That would not be something that he would do. That doesn't sound like Pruitt to me. That doesn't sound like Pruitt I know.
Larry can't help himself. Honestly, like when I get a text from you and I already know something, I'm like, phew. Yep. Like it's like I'm just like, wow, okay.
Oh, I don't know if that's true. I'd
say half the time.
I don't ever feel like I'm that you usually straighten me out on what I perceive. I usually have the kind of wrong angle on what the story is.
But there's a lot of times where I get a text from you. Like I'm just looking through the texts. Here's Larry actually sent me on last week a copy of the Department of Justice release statement by Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein on anonymous allegations.
What does that one read, though? What is that?
Oh, my God.
That one say
right
true.
there?
Let's see. It says, Deputy Attorney General Rod Rosenstein today issued the following statement. Americans should exercise caution before accepting as true any stories attributed to anonymous officials, particularly when they do not identify the country, let alone the branch or agency or government with which the alleged sources supposedly are affiliated. Americans should be skeptical about anonymous allegations. The Department of Justice has a long-established policy to neither confirm nor deny such allegations. And then you write, huh?
Hey, Sam, did you hear how they're undermining the SALT treaty? Just everything. They're undermining this.
No, but seriously, guys, be honest. You don't think that our president's interested in saving us money by getting rid of NATO and destabilizing Europe? You're out of your mind.
I'm supposed to subsidize Angela Merkel, who can't manage her own waste and whatnot.
Dude,
No,
she's a
forget it.
four.
He would've- Believe me, did you see
She's
it? He
a
would
four.
have shaken his hand. He would have shaken her hand if she had put it out. He wouldn't smack it away or anything.
She had put it out.
Oh my God.
But also, any press release that you see, I'm always. That most recent one at 11:30. When you can't see Trump's fingerprints on it, isn't it better? Do you know what I mean? I just mean they read like Trump tweets.
Right. Well,
Unless
now I think they're just
unless
putting
they're
his
Rex
tweets in.
Tillerson.
I think he's just going like, put out a press release. Just get it from my tweet.
Pull it from my tweets. No, not that tweet. Different tweet. Everything is done. I'm usually done by 8 in the morning. Start at 6:30. Done by 8.
Matt and I were saying that we need to do.
Bothering me.
And obviously this will never happen because they're all his enablers. But what they should do is that was like 30 Rock where they sent Tracy Morgan to the moon and he thought he was going. They need to create a fake Twitter. And it's only likes and positive feedback.
They should have if they wanted to generate some capital, he should have a closed circuit Twitter that you have to pay to join.
Yes.
And he's playing to nobody. The numbers remain the same. He's playing to nobody unless you join. It's like pay-per-view.
There you
President.
go. Pay-per-view president.
So what is? I mean, are you focusing on one thing? That's the thing that sort of amazes me is that you seem to cover so much.
You're really painting a picture right here, Sam. Of,
No, I mean I'm saying it. I'm saying it.
I'm reading the same news as you, aren't I?
Well, I know, but that's my point. Most people don't read the same amount of news as me because I do this professionally. You theoretically are doing something else.
Well, I'm waiting for something to feel like it's moving in the direction. I don't have a lot of confidence in any one thing being anything that. I don't think it will be tweets. I don't think anything's going to break the back of this.
Now, were you this engaged in politics before? Because I feel like I don't. I mean.
No, I wasn't that fun. I mean, do you mean before
Trump?
Yes, but not as engaged as I was at the beginning of this, when I was like, no, because I didn't see it as fundamentally. It feels a lot more dangerous. I feel like it feels a lot more dangerous. I feel like he feels a lot more dangerous.
I mean, because
I don't put him in the realm. I don't put him in the realm of a normal politician. I think his impulsiveness. It's I know that a lot of times you kind of give him credit for like distraction, but I'm starting not to buy into that at all.
Well, I
don't believe that he's distracting anybody. I believe that he's impulsive, and I believe that he can't control himself. And I don't believe that there's nothing that tells me that there's a filter between him and what he's saying.
Well, according
or what he's thinking.
According to Morning Joe, apparently he's been trying to blackmail, and as of last summer, Morning Joe was getting very credible reports that the guy was emotionally insane.
Wait, he was trying. Am I getting it correct that he was trying to blackmail through the National Enquirer?
Yeah.
How's that work?
Well, Trump is good friends with the publisher, the National Enquirer,
and the Post.
Well,
correct. But why the? I guess what I'm saying is why the National Enquirer?
Well, because the National Enquirer is, the outlet for things like, are they having an affair? They were going to expose the affair between, or the relationship between Joe and Mika.
Yeah. Are they? Aren't they? Is now. Did she or did she not get a facelift? I need to know. I want to know.
Inquiring minds, dude.
Yeah.
Dude, that's why they call it the Inquirer.
That's why they. The point was that he's going to blackmail them, and then that's why they had to expose their relationship.
No.
And that he has text and emails to that effect.
The idea was that apparently, according to Joe Scarborough, he got calls from top administration officials. If you call Donald Trump and apologize,
in the White House,
yeah. if you call Donald Trump.
He mentioned his friends in the White House.
Well, he said top administration officials. I mean, I'm a little upset that we didn't hear this story before the Twitter war made it necessary for them to report that media figures were getting blackmailed by the president. But apparently top administration officials called him and said, if you just call and apologize for your coverage, he'll kill the story.
Our president watches more cable news than a shut-in.
Yeah.
And, he watches more cable news than a shut-in. And and it's the whole entire thing that consumes him. And he golfs more than a retiree. That is an amazing thing. That is an amazing combination.
Yeah, it's welcome to America. So what are you going to do, Larry? Give me a sense, because I think to a certain extent you are indicative of a subset of the resistance, and perhaps a big subset where you've been activated by how not just personally repellent Donald Trump is, but sort of dangerous he is. What's your stamina level at this point? You had to go to the beach for a couple of days, and I should say, when you say you go to the beach, you're going 10 minutes away, 5 minutes away.
Yeah, I drive on the beach. I have a Jeep. I drive on the beach.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, you live on the South Shore. I mean, down near the Cape.
No, I live down towards the Cape. So I drive.
Isn't that the South Shore?
I'm 15 minutes from being on a beach in the Cape.
Isn't the Cape the South Shore, just above the Cape?
No. The South Shore is south of Boston. That's not really the South Shore.
Well,
that's totally wrong.
I got into a. That's the one place I ever got into a car accident. I was driving back from the Cape. I was going up Route 3. Is that Route 3, right?
That's Route 3.
So I'm driving up Route 3.
Then if you're on the Cape,
I was on the Cape, dude.
Sam, don't worry.
I came across the bridge.
You're driving. Okay, you're coming on 6 or you're on to 3 already? You go over the bridge?
I'm over the bridge. I'm on 3.
Okay.
I'm driving up.
Right.
It's a pelting rainstorm, right?
Okay.
I'm driving a Datsun SX.
You want to be careful on that stretch right there. There's troopers everywhere, Sam.
I'm driving a Datsun SX. I hydroplane. I realize I got to go get gas, and it's raining so hard I can barely see. So I start to head over towards the exit. I hydroplane. I freaking skid right into the sign that delineates the exit from the non-exit, and I flatten my tire. Fortunately, I rolled down the exit, Sullivan Tire, right there.
What month is it? Wait, that was just all a product placement ad for Sullivan Tire?
Yeah.
Hey,
yep.
Sam.
Are you serious?
Sam,
yeah, if you use the coupon code MAJORITY at Sullivan Tire, you get 10% off.
Hey, Sam, do you think that he's undermining China's ability to negotiate with the North Koreans?
Do you think that? What do you? How do you feel about how that went today with Moon in South Korea?
Actually,
I had tweeted out that it turns out that the best thing to do is to translate Trump into Korean, and then it works. So I got to do.
Would you see what he was saying to the press?
That's what I suggest.
He kept saying, He said something like, "You guys need to back up. They're getting even more mean." Or something while he was meeting with the president.
What is your sense? The health care bill. You think it's going to pass?
No, I think that I don't know that it's going to pass, but I know that it's going to be. Everything it will be delayed until well after. I mean, I think we'll still be talking about that in September.
I think you're wrong.
I don't. What, you think so?
Yep.
Why? What do you think?
I think it passes. Third week of
you think
June
it passes?
or July.
I don't know. The most recent thing that makes me think it's a possibility is the monies that they freed up that now you can say back to these states that where we're taking away all the federal funding and making you responsible for everything. Now you can return some of that money for the growing epidemic that is.
This guy knows everything.
Opioid epidemic. Yep.
Larry didn't even know what the Majority Report was like 12 months ago. I would see Larry consistently, back in the day when I would get some work on that show. Now I don't get any work on that show. What's the deal with that?
I think
Where's Hugo, Larry?
What?
Wiz,
Okay,
Hugo.
you're breaking up, Sam. You're breaking up. I have nothing to do with the decisions that get made on television programs.
Well, maybe you should step it up a
It's
little
like
bit.
12 months ago. I think that African fella is doing all right.
You were
and then we'll
going
have
in
to
the wrong
check.
direction, Sam. You were going in the wrong direction all the time. You should have been trying to. You should be trying to strengthen the character that is Harold. You play Harold.
Now I'm Harold more than
Show.
Hugo.
You're Harold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I do when I go on. You
Yeah.
play.
No, that's a relationship.
You play.
That
What's her face, right?
I play Edith. You play Harold. We're quite a pair.
Yeah.
Harold. Get him out of here.
There you go. Larry, thanks so much, buddy.
Hey, thank you. This was fun.
All right, I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
All right, take care. Bye.
Thanks, bud.
Bye, guys.
All right, let's get to the Jimmy Reefer Cake
Jesus
song.
Christ.
That's the way we do it. Massachusetts.
No,
we don't get all sentimental.
No, I'm just saying that guy is like he's Murphy's
I'm telling you,
encyclopedic.
I was worried the last week. I mean, I don't think I noticed it because I was involved in this medical situation, but I was worried. I thought something happened to him, but then I got a couple more texts.
The Jimmy Reefer Cake song is called Credibility Hypocrisy.
Credibility, hypocrisy. Credibility, hypocrisy? That's the name of the song?
Catchy.
Wait a second. Let me go into the email.
The full email was titled The Credibility Hypocrisy Blues.
Okay, that makes more sense. All right, let's hear that.
People are saying it, but Sammy, I don't think you're a total corporate Democrat hack. But you didn't represent that well in your debate with my friend Tim Black. I gotta say, I agree with Tim. Sammy, you got no right to bitch about some YouTubers getting clicks with the murder mystery of Seth Rich. Just repeating Seth Rich fake news hit piece. Come on now, Sammy. That's such a bore to me. Having more discussions with Tim about this beef. That would mean so much more to me. Yeah, so I like it. It's good, bud. Why not politely invite Tim Black to return on the Majority Report show? That would prove you got more credibility than your girl Rachel Maddow. That lucky lady Rachel Maddow getting $30K a day. She's peddling that Russia in her same old arrogant way. Personally, I question Rachel Maddow's credibility a whole lot more than I would YouTube stars like Tim Black, H.A. Goodman, and who am I gonna say? Jimmy Dore. I'm talking about credibility, hypocrisy. Are you trapped in a bubble where you wanna be? Hey man, is that cold brand proposition getting to your head? Maybe you should be focusing on your own credibility instead. Hey, is the credibility, hypocrisy? Am I doing it now? Am I trapped in my bubble where I wanna be? I don't know, maybe that cold brand proposition is getting to my head. Oh, maybe I should be focusing on my own credibility instead. All right. Thank you, everybody. Thank you.
I for one enjoyed that.
I think the way he led up to Jimmy Dore was very impressive.
Yeah.
I know,
very Leon Redbone.
I don't know that. What's Leon Redbone?
Well, it's very Leon Redbone-ish. I don't know. Do people not know who Leon Redbone?
Let me just say for Jimmy, because that was a good song. I'm Rachel Maddow. Russia. Hillary Clinton, Russia. The year was 1978.
All right. Well, we've got to take a break and head into the fun half of the program, wherein we will have a fun half. I think we don't have much. We don't get much in terms of sound, but we'll take some phone calls.
You want to let them know about Monday and Tuesday as well?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, Monday we're going to have a pre-recorded program, and members will be getting a deep archive show as well as a new interview. Correct, Matt? And we may even throw up a deep archive for Tuesday, even though my experience has been on July 4th. People don't download that much, but we'll put up a deep archive for members. We'll be back live on Wednesday. I think, and I will say this, it's Friday, June 30th. There's a lot of people taking Monday off. Donald Trump, didn't he tweet something the other day like, there's going to be a big surprise? I think there's going to be a major news drop at 5 p.m. today, maybe 6 p.m. I think it's going to be, Sean Spicer has been replaced by Sarah Sanders Huckabee or...
no one ever gives me credit for her.
And, or it could very well be more people are fired or,
There's a lawsuit against CNN.
Jared Kushner is now, he's in charge of all of it.
Or I had no idea what Jared is up to.
Or
and he's getting arrested.
Maybe it's, I don't know. I think there's going to be a major news drop today. And it's going to be extremely frustrating. So maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'll do a YouTube Live if I could figure out how to do that.
Of course you can.
I gotta deal with the kids tonight, and then I gotta go to the hospital, do another hospital run. So we'll see. But buckle up and shoot straight. Do something. I don't know what I was going with that. Yeah, that's my new sign off. Buckle up and shoot straight. Everybody. As we go into the fun half. Hey, just a reminder, I should say. Oh, I know what else I want to tell you. Okay. You at the top of this program, we announced that we have won the 4 out of the last 5, actually, podcast Best News in Politics Podcast Awards at podcastawards.com. The reason why we didn't win the 5th one was because we were ineligible, because we had won 4, and they had changed the rules, and so we were a legacy show. They changed the rules again. And now you're not a legacy show until you win 5, which means we are eligible to win the Best News in Politics. So starting tomorrow, July 1st, nominations open up. And so all you got to do is go, and I don't know what it is, go to podcastawards.com. And I think the page is going to change tomorrow. But they're going to open up the nominations. You go there, nominate us for Best News and Politics. And you can go back there. Actually, go scroll through because you can see what happened. In 2000, let's see. What was the first year we had the show? It was, I don't think we were in, I think it wasn't until 2011. We were the Best News in Politics. Let's see. Yeah, Majority Report. And then 2012, it was the Majority Report. You go down there. So you scroll up there, Matt. Scroll up a little bit. Scroll up a little bit. Go up a little more. Yeah, there you go. So you can go to like 2011. Start with 2011. And there we are, Best News in Politics, Majority Report. And then go to 2012. And you can see the Majority Report because I didn't really realize, I didn't know how to remember what the year before we had called it. And then 2013, we go back to Majority Report, not the Majority Report. And then 2014, there was no year somehow we won 2014, but they gave us, I think, 2015, right? The Majority Report. I go back to the Majority Report. And then 2016, we weren't eligible. So I don't know. No agenda. I don't know what that means, but I think it's time to have an agenda again. And so you go, you nominate us, and then the voting starts soon. So and I'm pretty sure we registered. So, and I think we paid the $10 to register. We, as in me. I think I did that. I think it was one of those, like, I can't sleep. It's 3 a.m. in the morning. I'm too worried about Trump. I might as well register for the podcast awards.
Oh, look, the podcast awards are happening.
There you go.
Let me do that.
Hello.
We
should also say...
Is it a call from John Podesta that I need to neutralize somebody else? God damn it.
Did we mention that we're a Webby honoree? Did we do that?
Yeah, we did that.
Okay.
We mentioned that.
Maybe we'll do a
now we have a
video with the plaque.
You should do that.
Yeah, the plaque only cost like $17,000, I think, too, right? It was a $17,000 that we spent on the plaque, so that was good. All right, folks, to support that plaque, we need you to become a member of the Majority Report because it costs like $17,000. Something. Okay, whatever. It sort of felt like, didn't they say if you wanted a second one or something, it was like $5,000?
Yes, if you win, you get the plaque. If you want a second plaque.
What do you do
need
with
like $2,500?
What do you do with the second plaque?
I don't know. You put it in your home office, or like there's places that have
I'll
more.
just photocopy it. I'll take a picture and I'll put that in a frame. I'll take a picture of the picture.
Yeah, I think some operations are working a little bit
really plaque.
differently
it's more
than
like
ours.
Framed, yeah. Yeah, I guess if you're like it's all the big companies, then it's like we want 6 of those and we're going to put them in our lobby. And we're going to put them in our conference room, and we're going to put them in our studio. We can cover all 3 of those places.
I would imagine if you are large enough and you're going to put them in all those places, they would not make you pay for them. They would want you to hang them on your wall in your...
Well, nevertheless, we were a Webby honoree. So to support, if we ever want to buy a second plaque, join themajorityreport.com. It is your membership that makes this show possible. Despite the fact that Jimmy thinks that we're corporate shills.
Total corporate shills.
I will say this, BP gives us a lot of money to play those Jimmy Reefer Cake songs. So become a member today at jointhemajorityreport.com. Also, justcoffee.coop, fair trade coffee, tea, or chocolate. Use the coupon code MAJORITY. Also, if you buy a crap from Amazon or jet.com, do so at majorityreportkickback.com. 646-257-3920. We'll be right back.